Let's get to it.
Let's go.
I hear you talking opinions, but where your facts at? I think it's time that we pull up and do a fact check. Wrong again, we calling you to the circle. I'm tired of hearing the bull. I'm questioning your discernment, Like how you question the people that's really earned it, the people that's really working. Type of stuff for the circus. Only move with a purpose.
Yo, welcome back to the Baldwell Wright Podcast. I'm your host, Ronald Robinson. I have my co-host with me.
What's going on? Kyle Drayton here. How you guys doing this evening?
Yo, before we get started, let me ask you guys to do us a huge favor. Like, comment, subscribe to our social medias, our YouTube, Facebook accounts. Go ahead. You'll see the actual account address to scroll
TikTok.
on the bottom of the screen. Take the time. TikTok as well. Yes, take the time. Go to those screens, like, follow, and support this actual content that we're putting out there for the people. We would definitely appreciate it. What's been going on, man? How everything going on your end?
Things going good. I remember we discussed it before about doing like a off-topic kind of show or something like, after our type of show. We definitely have to think about doing that because before we even start the show, I was definitely rambling on about politics and a bunch of other stuff. So.
Yeah. We were actually getting into the local political climate here in the Houston, Texas area. We just had elections for the mayor, and now we're in a runoff, right?
Yep, we're in a runoff.
So with that being said, I was asking, what would you want to talk about? You were kind of talking, and before you know, I'm looking at the clock.
Yeah,
I'm like,
3
man,
seconds.
it is counting down. I say, hey man, we got 10 seconds.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to cut you short.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, but
time was.
you were rolling with it, man. You're rolling with it. But let's go ahead and get into sports today. That's what we're here to talk about. A lot of good stuff going on in sports. This particular week, obviously, I mean, sports always, and that's the beauty of sports, in my personal opinion. There's always a story.
Oh yeah,
there's always a story.
Always something going on.
This week has not been an exception. What we're going to do, however, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it because we definitely want to leave some time at the end of the show to open up the phone lines and see if we have some callers want to call in. Okay,
like 8:45ish.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, first story rather. You know what? And it's really ironic that we're going to start here, but I'm excited the fact that we're able to start here. The LSU women's basketball team, they took a L.
Yeah.
And I am an LSU women's basketball supporter, but they took a L to the number 20 Colorado women's program.
That's tough.
They lost 92-78. It wasn't really close. I mean, Colorado really put it on them handily. Did you get a chance to catch that game or watch any highlights about it?
I didn't catch the game, but I did see the story. I did see the story of the loss in a sense, but who's the main scorer? Let me see what her name is. Foreman. She went 7 for 11 from the 3-point.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's insane.
How many final points did she end up with by chance?
I want to say it was 27.
Okay.
Yeah, 27 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds.
Yeah. I mean, LSU women's, there's a lot to talk about here when you talk about the fact that, coming off the championship last
National
year,
champs.
I would argue with anyone who wants to debate about it, but that was really, for me, the most excited and engaged I've been into a women's finals championship.
Yeah.
The storylines between Angel Reese
Right.
and the young lady from Iowa, Caitlin Clark.
Oh, yeah, that was dope.
It was brilliant. It reminded me, and I compared it to a lot of people because it got testy. You know?
Yeah. There's a lot of stories bouncing off that whole thing.
Yeah, and both young ladies played hard. They played very well. It was a very testy competition and match between the two of them. And I compared it to, because of what it did for women's basketball, I compared it to Magic Bird.
Okay.
When Magic Bird kind of played against each other, and the energy of that particular matchup, that rivalry really propelled the NBA in the 80s, which were kind of a rough time for the NBA when it was really trying to find its footing as a national pastime, and it really propelled the NBA into what we know the NBA as of today, which is a very popular sports league. So
Alongside Jordan.
Yeah. Jordan came up after, but I you know what? And it was a perfect segue.
Oh, yeah.
It was Magic, Bird, and then Jordan kind of segued into that, and it really just kind of took off.
Right.
But I think Magic Bird really was the foundation, and he set up the law for Jordan perfectly, and Jordan took it the rest of the way. But back to this Colorado LSU game. Colorado did win 92-78. Angel Reese is a double-double machine. She was 15 points, 12 rebounds.
Yeah, that was solid.
It would not shock me if she does a double-double every game. I mean, it's relatively easy for her the way she plays the game.
She's tall, but I actually like that LSU loss just so they can kind of get their footing up under them, kind of take this game serious, kind of get off the hype or the nostalgia or whatever you want to call it of the win that they just had, the championship that they just recently received. So I think it's good, they get their loss out the way, get their footing, let's move forward.
Yeah.
Get to winning.
I agree with you 100%. I am pulling for LSU to repeat. I'm a big LSU women's basketball supporter, as I mentioned already. And I think this L was could be seen as a good thing. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they had plans on or desires to go undefeated, maybe even. Not that would have been possible because you have some pretty, stiff competition.
And people are gunning for them. Everybody's gunning for them.
Yeah, they're and not only are they gunning for them just because they're the champions. I think they're gunning for them more so because of how they spent their off season.
Oh yeah, lot of turn up.
Yeah, they spent their off season, promoting themselves, NIL, and that really brings eyes and attention on you. And I'll tell you what, you remember the young lady from Iowa who they beat in the actual championship, Caitlin Clark. Did you see her numbers for her game one?
No, I did not.
28 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds against Fairleigh Dickinson. Fairleigh Dickinson is not really a big-time program, but still, she put up a huge stat line. Mind you, she scored 28 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds in 24 minutes of play. Angel Reese played 30 minutes and once again 15 points, 12 rebounds. Different types of players, I know.
Right.
Caitlin Clark is a more dynamic scorer from all 3 phases of the game. She can drive, she can shoot the mid range, and she can shoot it from deep. But they beat Fairleigh Dickinson 102-46. I think, and while 102-46, and the entire time where the LSU ladies were making their tour as champions, which they deserve the right to make a tour. I don't want to make it seem like they did anything out of bounds by making that tour. Caitlin Clark was in the gym. There were videos of her in the gym, and I'm sure she's looking forward to the rematch with the LSU Tigers. So LSU took a loss here, but I think they'll be able to bounce back from it.
Yeah, I've never been a champion of anything other than life, but I think enjoying the championship as well. But if I were to win a championship, I think I would enjoy it for a few months or whatever it is, and then I'm jumping straight back in the gym because I know all the heat is going to be on me after that. Everybody's going to try and take the crown. Everybody's going to try and get this W off of us. So, I mean, I'm glad they enjoyed it, but it's time to get back in the gym, trying to get these W's.
Yeah, to put a bow on this actual topic, the coach for the LSU women's program, she's a very fiery coach, and she will use this L as the motivation and the rationale for how hard she's going to push that team the remainder of the season. They brought some new talent in from the transfer portal. The LSU women did, so they're even a more talented team, bringing back most of their players this actual year. So I do think the coach will capitalize on this early loss. And if you're going to take a loss, take it early. And then that way you're kind of refocusing, get going. But congratulations to the number 20 Colorado women. Big time win against the defending LSU women champion. All right, real quick, before we go any further, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. We have Sean P. McKee's Lawn and Pressure Washing Services, servicing the Birmingham, Alabama, and surrounding areas. Please get in contact with Sean and his team. They can be contacted at 470-599-0296. That's 470-599-0296. Sean P. McKee and his team can assist you with your lawn care, lawn renovation, pressure washing, rubbish removal, seedling and flower care, as well as landscape design. Reach out to him and his team. They'll be more than happy to work out with you. 470-599-0296. All right, man. Well, we're going to go ahead and move forward with the actual program. We're going to talk a little bit about another podcast here. How many people have been paying attention to the pivot controversy between the pivot team and Brandon Marshall and the I Am Athlete program? I know you kind of brought this to my attention initially. You want to kick off this conversation?
Yeah, so Brandon Marshall, I guess he's going – I won't say he's going on a press one, but he jumped on Cam Newton's podcast and he was kind of discussing different things. But Cam Newton brought up the topic of the pivot and I guess how that whole thing kind of derailed in a sense. So as Brandon Marshall's on the podcast, he's kind of describing, I guess, how the podcast went astray in a sense where, it kind of seemed like as though he was basing it all off the business. Everything was based on the business, but he was kind of putting the blame on everybody else and not really taking any of the blame as far as he was putting all the money up. He was, spending this money. He was paying for everything. He offered some people, I guess he offered them, percentages, but people didn't want to take percentages or they weren't giving money for the percentages. So it just seemed like a whole lot of confusion. I don't know if it was a communication thing, but it seemed as though he was saying as though everybody else was in the wrong in the situation opposed to what he was doing in the situation. But I guess he was putting a lot of blame on, you got the Fred Taylors, the Shannon Crowders, and then he has a little issue with Ryan Clark even after, I guess once they created the pivot. But it just seemed like it was a whole bunch of mess.
Yeah, you brought the story initially to my attention. I have to be honest, I wasn't really aware too much of the actual story and the backlash going back and forth with them. The I Am Athlete podcast started during the actual pandemic. I do remember watching it. I remember, to me, it seemed like the star of the show was Channing Crowder.
Definitely.
And
Ocho. I like Ocho as well. But Channing Crowder.
And Channing Crowder, he went viral a couple of times. And that's how I initially became aware of the actual show, because some things he was saying viral. I mean, he's a very, very funny guy. I don't even think he's trying to be funny.
No, it's just
that's
natural.
the crazy part. He's just naturally funny, and it makes for very entertaining actual podcast and content to watch. So when all those guys were together, I definitely watched it. And you know what? But I wasn't a consistent watcher. But whenever you mention it, I kind of dawned on me, and I thought, you know what? I haven't seen any updates or that show, at least with them all together. And then, so whenever you brought it to my attention and I started researching it, it made a lot of sense. If anyone's paying attention or anyone watching anything going on with that whole little story and that backlog, there's a lot of content out there from various platforms. Like you said, Brandon Marshall, he's going on the press tour. He's saying negative and sometimes disparaging things. I mean, he called Shannon Sharpe corny. He called Ryan Clark corny. He pretty much called Fred Taylor useless. He did acknowledge Channing Crowder's talent.
Right.
And once again, Channing Crowder's talent seems to be just organic. Like he's
definitely.
not really trying to be anything. He just is. And I think Brandon Marshall may have overplayed his hand.
Right.
And now those guys kind of peeled off of the I Am Athlete brand and created their own new podcast called The Pivot.
Right.
And they brought Ryan Clark in, and that's how Ryan Clark names got involved in this whole thing, because now with Ryan Clark kind of working with Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor, obviously Brandon Marshall feels away.
Right.
So, it's an unfortunate thing that because these guys were good friends.
Yeah, they were good friends. Let's see, Fred Taylor, Channing Crowder, they were all neighbors in the same neighborhood when Brandon Marshall first came to them about, building the podcast. At first they had Reggie Wayne, but Reggie Wayne, I guess he did a couple podcasts and then he kind of burnt off. But regardless of that, they were all really good friends at the time. They had their kids playing together. They knew each other for 10 plus years. So it's just kind of sad to see that all go down. But one thing that I did notice about the Pivot as opposed to I Am Athlete, it's kind of like the same layout, and that's just because that with I Am Athlete, Brandon Marshall went out and he found a producer in a sense. Well, he found a producer to produce the show, and this same producer was actually having business issues with Brandon Marshall as well, So, and I guess he offered her equity in the company or whatever it was, but I guess she left before that equity actually hit or before materialized in a sense. So I guess she left. I guess she was asking for a certain a dollar amount. Brandon Marshall says it's $1.8 million, but based on what Channing Crowder has read in the paperwork that he's read from her, it was I think it was either 1.3 or 1.6. It's on The Pivot. You guys can watch that. But it sounds like there's a lot of back and forth. There's confusion in, where the number's at, what's the percentage, who's supposed to pay this and who's supposed to get this amount. It's all issue. But it sounds like, they literally just broke up the I'm Athlete, took it somewhere else where I guess there's better representation, a better payout, whatever it may be, just better business going on. Yeah. And that's why you have The Pivot. And I think it's going to, thrive as what I Am Athlete was, because, I mean, you pretty much have the same people. You have the same setup. All you don't have is Brandon Marshall. Yeah.
Brandon Marshall, like I said, I think he overplayed his hand. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch exactly how the story develops. I think you want to pay attention to see exactly if the I Am Athlete podcast continue to get the views. Right. It's already locked in with a significant number of subscribers. Right. But a lot of those subscribers have shifted their viewership over to, The Pivot. Right. And it's a very creative name, The Pivot, the pivot what they're actually doing. So, I really hate to see it because these guys stayed in close proximity to each other. So during the pandemic, when everybody was on lockdown, they were, jumping into their golf carts, riding to each other's houses and just like, hey, man, let's do a podcast together while everything is kind of locked down. And they did it and unaware of how successful it was going to be. Right. The thing blew up. But unfortunately, because of, poor business practices, bad business. Now we're seeing people who stayed in close proximity, had their kids playing in the yard with each other. And now all of a sudden you have a situation where, there's been, significant damage, probably irreparable to those relationships. And that's really unfortunate. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move forward here. The next thing we're going to talk about real quick, and before we go too deep into this, we're going to talk about the NBA's in-season tournament. Have you been paying attention to this, first of all?
I've been betting a lot on the NBA right now, so I guess I am watching it in a sense, but yeah, I guess these guys are definitely competing a little bit harder. I guess this is what the NBA wants. So, but what I don't understand about the NBA, I guess the in-season tournament is that it's at the beginning of the season, so I don't really see how it's actually in season in a sense. I guess it's in season. I guess my sense of in season would be like midway through the season or whatnot, but I guess what is that, All-Star break? But yeah. I don't know. Hopefully it helps the NBA. Hopefully it helps competition. Hopefully it helps the.
Real quick, before we go too deep into it, before we actually start talking too much about it, I want to go ahead and run this real quick video real quick and see exactly if that can help everyone who may be unaware. Because to be honest, I was unaware that this was even happening until just a couple of days ago, and I had to kind of get caught up here for the show. So I'm going to run this actual video for you guys. You guys pay attention to it, and we'll see exactly. We'll talk about it after the video runs. It's about 2 minutes, so hang in there, but it's going to be some good information about this new initiative being pushed by the actual NBA. Let me go ahead and I have a call in. Hey, caller, stand by and hold for us 1 second. We're going to bring you in a moment. I definitely want to hear you talk about this actual topic. All right, real quickly here, let's go ahead and run the video. Here is the NBA. Let's see here. Do I have? Okay, I thought I had some extra audio. Caller, if you have anything on your back end, go ahead and mute your phone for us real quick because it's going to come up with the video. If you can mute your phone for us, that'd be great. All right, let's go ahead and run this quick little video here. All right, and let's see. I'm gonna wait for my caller to mute his phone here so we can actually get going. Caller, are you there? All righty. Okay. Let me see if I can put him on hold. Okay, that works. I'll put him on hold. That's even better. All right, great. Here's the video. Let's run it.
Where the last two standing will compete for a prize pool.
And the new in-season tournament trophy, the NBA Cup, in Las Vegas on Saturday, December 9th.
Nice reverse layup.
All 67 games across both stages of this tournament will count towards regular season standings,
with the exception of the championship game itself.
Let's get into our group. The Wizards are competing in East Group B with the Milwaukee Bucks, the Miami Heat, the Charlotte Hornets, and the New York Knicks.
As part of the in-season tournament, the Wizards will play 4 consecutive Fridays in November against their Group B opponents, beginning with the trip to Miami on November 3rd. The Wizards will then come home to take on Charlotte on November 10th.
The Wizards will play for New York on November 17th, before closing group play with a road matchup in Milwaukee on November 24th.
So you now have all the information. Let's get ready to support your Wizards through this inaugural tournament and hopefully bring home the NBA Cup.
All right, so real quick, first of all, the NBA Cup is wild. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The NBA Cup is kind of out there for me. Let me see if I can stop this audio here real quick.
Yeah, I think it's going to definitely be exciting. Especially
You think so?
Yeah, especially where they explain it. I think it's going to be something to watch to see if these players actually take it serious, especially because they have money on the line, and some of these players don't have as large contracts as other players. So I think we're going to see a lot of the secondary teams actually jump into the game a little bit more, be a little bit more rowdy in the game, be a little bit more active in the game, especially in the beginning of the season. Because sometimes, you have a lot of people who watch basketball, but in the beginning of the season, they don't really watch because it doesn't really matter. You know? So now you're putting something that actually matters, like, okay, these guys are competing, and you don't want to, the first one, you guys don't want to, a team doesn't want to be like, okay, we're not going to take it serious, and then a team is later on down the line, they win the cup, and then, now you have something to talk trash about on the court. Like, oh, we just beat you guys in the cup. You guys are trash. It adds that extra layer of, competition, I think.
I'm curious, do you think NBA players, though, are going to take it serious? Because it's kind of like a new concept, right? Like, NBA players have always thought about winning the finals championship.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's this new thing like the NBA Cup. And the NBA Cup, it's kind of, if this idea is similar to things that happen in Premier Soccer over in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Premier Soccer has a whole bunch of in-season tournaments or in-season championships that are awarded in preparation or in advance of the actual finals year-end championship. So I think that's where the NBA got this actual idea from.
But we see the hype around soccer. I mean, that's an international sport. I want to say soccer is bigger than basketball.
Yeah, without question, it's bigger than basketball.
So when you think about it like that, I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah, I
definitely think it's good for the sport. Especially who doesn't want to make history? Who wouldn't want to be that? Who wouldn't want to be that first team to say, we won the cup?
You know what? That's a good point. I didn't really think about the historical aspect of it. So you never know. I mean, it could play out. I mean, I could tell you right now, because of how you actually just kind of pitched it to me. I'm kind of interested to see exactly how it plays out.
Yeah.
They only scheduled 80 games of the 82 games that's normally scheduled for in NBA franchises this particular year. Because you have to leave a 2-game span because you never know who's going to actually win the cup and who's going to have to go to actual Vegas for the actual championship. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting. But, of course, all this is centered around money, right? Like you said, they want viewership. I'll be honest, like the NBA season can get monotonous for me. Sometimes I don't even pay attention to the NBA season until we get to the second half of the year.
Exactly.
And then when we get into the playoffs, I really lock in. So, I mean, it may work. It definitely may work. We're going to go ahead and bring in one of our co-hosts here real quick. Let's see here if I can get him on the actual phone here real quick. Hey, Mr. McKee, how you doing, brother? Are you online with us right now?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Hey, what's going on, brother? You doing all right?
Good evening, gents. How are you guys?
Man, we blessed, man. Blessed. Everything's been going good. We have a good week of sports. We've gone through a couple actual topics so far in the actual show, but we're rolling into the NBA in-season tournament. I know if you saw that graphic just now, did you have any opinion? Were you aware of this whole in-season tournament? What are your thoughts on it, real quick?
$500,000, man. I can figure out a good way to use that.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's for each player, correct?
Anybody can use that extra money. I don't care what NBA player is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to get the extra money, but the winner is going to be the league.
Right.
If the league is pushing this actual new initiative, it's because there's money in it for their TV contracts.
Right.
It's money in it for the franchises that get a chance to actually travel to Vegas, and the actual fans that may support them by taking a trip to Vegas as well. And it actually going to make money for Vegas as well. Vegas is already a big tourism hub, but also having another in-season championship is just more money for that particular demographic and that locale.
I think it's dope. The only thing that I didn't like about it was the actual courts that they developed, like these new tournament these new courts. I think they're kind of ugly. I mean, they're definitely brighter. I guess they're kind of playing into the whole, how kids like the bright things, like, oh man, this new court, it's kind of playing into that aspect. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't really like it, but I do like the idea of actually having a cup, as far as creating competition, creating history, creating, adding a new iteration into the game of basketball.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting, man.
I like the competitive spirit between the games. The games are actually competitive. That's what I like.
Yeah, and it's gonna up competition. There's money behind it, and there's actually a trophy and some history. Like you said, I didn't even think about the historical factor of it. So somebody's gonna get it. Do you think it's gonna? We'll still be seeing this particular event 5 years from now? You think it has a 5-year lifespan? Because obviously the NBA wants it to be every year. I guess it's going to take time. I guess time will tell.
I don't see how they would lose from it having the tournament. I don't see if there's really a financial loss. Like I don't see how they would lose from this. I think if people, like, say they have what are they having, the actual final game in Las Vegas. Everybody loves Las Vegas. That's why they're choosing it there. Yeah. But I don't see how they lose. People are going to want to travel to Las Vegas to watch basketball, or to wherever to watch basketball, especially for, another major game that you get to see. It's kind of like having another All-Star game in a sense, but it's just two teams. It's like having a mini championship. So I think it's dope.
All right. We'll see, man. Time will tell. Hey, Slim, we're going to go ahead and move forward here. We got our next topic coming in. Who actually paid attention to the Texans and their win over the Bucks this weekend?
I watched the second half of that game, and wow.
You want to speak a little bit to that?
I mean, it was a good game. Tampa Bay isn't really a good team, but it was still a close game, you know,
Okay.
which I enjoyed. C.J. Stroud, what was it? 5 TDs, 470 passing yards. I mean, comeback win. I thought it was phenomenal, but yeah, it was a great game. I'm happy about the numbers that he put up. I'm happy about, you know, the history that he made, but I mean, the team is still only 4-4, so I'm not really. I mean, great job, but I mean,
You know what? It was a big win for Texans. Every win is a big win for Texans. The Texans are constantly in competition with the Cowboys. Whether they play the Cowboys or not, it's like a sibling rivalry in the state of Texas. So they're always in competition with the Cowboys. For them to get a win, any win, is always positive. But C.J. Stroud, man. C.J. Stroud is looking good. This is a rookie, man. I think sometimes people, kind of skim over the actual fact that this is a rookie doing this. Let me give you his numbers real quick. 30-42. That's a 71.4% pass completion percentage. 470 yards, 5 TDs, as you already mentioned. No turnovers, no interceptions. No interceptions at all. I mean, that's strong. Sean, Slim, you have anything to add to that?
Of course. Not only is he a rookie, but his head coach is a rookie his first year. And that program, that NFL franchise has been under a lot of subparism here in the last few years. So just to come into a situation being a rookie with a first-year head coach and do the things that he's doing, I only think about Carolina. I wonder what Carolina's saying.
Oh, you're talking about Carolina. They took Bryce Young, right, with the number 1 overall pick. Did you pay? Okay, so since you brought up Bryce Young,
he's not doing bad.
He's not doing bad. He's not doing as good as C.J. Stroud's doing.
Right.
Bryce Young, he threw 2 pick sixes this week against Indy in a loss. They lost to Indy 27-13. 2 pick sixes is tough.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, interceptions happen, obviously, but 2 pick sixes, that's really not exactly what you want to see. And this is a step back. He has been kind of advancing his play. Obviously, he took a huge step back this weekend against the Colts. But I don't think there's really a debate as far as which rookie QB is performing the best right now.
Who do you think has a better
Totally
line?
agree.
Oh, yeah.
Totally
But
agree.
I think the Texans have a better O-line. Oh, speaking of O-line, and it's not sometimes it's about the O-line, but sometimes it's also about
Decision-making.
the actual quarterback's ability to read and process the information
Definitely.
quickly.
Exactly.
Let me bring something up for you real quick, Slim, and I wanted to get your response on this. C.J. Stroud, he took 6 sacks in a week 2 loss. The week 2 this season, he took 6 sacks. You know, he's only taken 12 sacks since. 12 sacks since. Now, either one of two things happened. Either the offensive line grew up and became amazing, or this quarterback is learning to process the defensive quicker and get the ball out of his hands into his receivers quicker. I think it's going to be the second. I don't think the offensive line can improve that dramatically. I think your quarterback can take that step forward, but there's too many parts into having an offensive line just have that dramatic of an actual improvement.
Has the rush attempts increased, or is it still the same?
You talking about offensive rushes from the Texans?
Right.
I don't have those numbers in front of me. I think
I
it's
can
pretty
tell you
steady.
what,
Go ahead.
but, you know, I'm an avid fantasy football player.
Okay.
Their running game compared to last year is nowhere near what it was last year.
Okay.
It's subpar this year. Damian Pierce is not putting up the kind of
Numbers.
the numbers that he put up last year. And I want to say they got Singletary over there, and he's a shell of himself. So everything that the Texans got going on is simply off the shoulders of C.J. Stroud and the way he's processing the game at that advanced rate.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, he's really reading the defense better and getting the ball out of his hand quicker, and that takes
And
a lot of
it's
stress.
fascinating.
Yeah,
His teammates are feeding off that, man. They're playing at a really good level right now.
He's got some solid receivers. What is it? Tank
Yes,
Bell.
yes.
He's got out there.
Olave.
And then, and then Nico. Is it a Nico?
He got Nico Collins,
Yeah.
and he got Robert Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Robert
You
Woods.
know,
So he's
he
got some
Woods
solid.
and Nico Collins. Nico Collins is a breakout. I think it's his 3rd year, but he's having like a spectacular season. this year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you want to make the comparison with C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, it's not really fair to Bryce Young. C.J. Stroud is clearly head and shoulders above him right now. And once again, there's still a lot of football to be played. But right now, C.J. Stroud definitely is
I tell you what,
a better performer. Go ahead.
a better comparison is going to be the guy out of Tennessee, the X Factor, Will Levis. Watch
Okay.
what I tell you.
Okay. We'll see how that plays out. I did look at some rankings as far as ranking the NFL quarterbacks right now at this point in the actual season. And this ranking actually came out yesterday, I think.
Everybody's under Jalen Hurts.
Oh, no, actually not. Hey, no. Hold tight. Hey, that's on the actual agenda. We will not get off this show without.
That's how you feel already.
Yes,
huh?
we're not going to get off the show without getting to that. But hold tight for me 1 second. I don't want to go there just yet, but we will be going there. But C.J. Stroud was ranked as the number 11 quarterback in the actual league. And I've seen some other rankings where they had him as low as 13, but as high as 9 as well. So I took the average, number 11, if you take the average. So that's solid for
for a rookie
man.
quarterback,
I mean, come on. Yeah, you have to give the kid credit, and he's doing great. And since you brought it up real quick, without going into too much detail, you said Jalen Hurts. Are you serious with the Jalen Hurts thing, or are you speaking as a fan?
I was just speaking as a fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Okay.
claim him as number 1 right now.
All right, cool. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here.
What we got?
We're going to talk about a couple teams here who had unfortunately big losses this particular week. The Bills and the Dolphins.
Bills.
I have a question for you, Slim, and I'm going to ask you this one first, and I'll ask Kyle the next one. The Dolphins. Are the Dolphins imposters? They took a loss to the Chiefs, 21-14 this week. Now, they did play in Germany, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But once again, both teams were in Germany. It was a home game for the Chiefs, but the Chiefs, like we mentioned, I think we mentioned this in last week's show, the Chiefs, each team in the NFL has an obligation to play at least one game abroad every 8 years. So the Chiefs the Chiefs chose this game as one of their home games to play in Germany against the actual Dolphins. So both teams had to travel. 21-14, the Chiefs won. Slim, are the Dolphins imposters by taking another loss against a quality team?
Yes, they are.
He's been waiting to say that.
I said it, man. I mean, the facts are the facts. The numbers are the numbers. Everybody say numbers don't lie. I mean, every time, it's going to sound like a skip CD. Every time they face a Goliath, they get whooped, man. They don't never show. It is what it is. Every time they face a team that's above 500, it's a different Miami outcome. Every time. Now, if we're asking about it, are they fun to watch? Yeah, they fun to watch. But when it comes to winning, nah, they ain't finna win no big game.
Kyle, you want to follow up with that? Tell me, what do you think? Do you think the Dolphins are imposters with another loss, this time loss to the Chiefs? And still missing something, so I want to go ahead and say it. First of all, let's talk about it. The Dolphins are 6-3.
Right.
All right. So
Above
I don't want that. I don't want that to sway your opinion as far as whether you think they're imposters or not. But they're 6-3, and here are the opponents that they lost to. They lost, of course, to the Chiefs this week. We just talked about that score. They lost to the Bills, and they lost to the Eagles. Are they imposters?
I would say they are. I'll agree with Slim, just based on the competition that they have. Like I want to say, like you iterated, many times in the past. Once they get up against a solid, actual solid team with a solid offense, with a solid defense, they just kind of crumble. Now, like Slim was saying, it's a fun team to watch. It's a fun team to actually just watch on football, but they're just all offense. It's not really much defense that's going on, and I think that's the biggest problem with the Miami Dolphins. If they were able to kind of figure out something with the defense, kind of figure out some some better schemes or whatever it may be to kind of help that defense to kind of keep games closer, where your offense actually can put these points up on the board and actually stay ahead of the instead of the opposing team, I think they'll be a lot better. Now, I will say that they are imposters, but I mean they're real close to being like neighbors in a sense, where it's like they're not too far of imposters, but they're still imposters. But yeah, if they worked on their defense, I think they would definitely come back into into the fold of not being imposters.
Okay, you kind of touched on some things I want to talk about. I'm going to go the opposite on both of you guys, though. I'm going to say they're not imposters, not just yet. I'm going to give them a little bit more time.
Okay.
First of all, they have a 6-3 record. So give me a second, son. Give me a second, Slim. Let me get through my reign here. I got some stats here for you. I got some big stats. I took my time. I wrote these out. I'm gonna give these to you real quick. All right. So they 6-3. They lost to the Bills, Eagles, and Chiefs. But let's not act like the Bills, Eagles, and Chiefs are slouches. At least collectively. I'm not really big on the Bills, but the Eagles and Chiefs. I mean, come on. The Eagles and Chiefs are the Eagles and Chiefs.
Solid.
Now, collectively, the three teams that they lost to are 20-7 collectively. So these three teams are not slight. The Bills scored 48 points on them. The Eagles scored 31 points on them, and the Chiefs scored 21 this week. That was in week 4, week 7, and week 9, respectively. I don't think they're imposters, but as you mentioned, and you took a little bit of my fire, they have big holes in their defense. The offense is solid, but the offense you need to have. They haven't held a team to a single digit score the entire season. The actual lowest opponent score, and they won this game, but the Giants in Week 5 still scored 16 points on them. So when you talk about solid defense, some solid defense can hold you to a field goal, can hold you to 7. Maybe you get to 9, maybe you get to 10. But the lowest opponent scored on this team this year was 16 points, and in their losses, these opponents scoring pretty solid. The Bills scored 48, and I'm not high on the Bills. The Eagles scored 31, which I can see them doing that easy, and the Chiefs scored 21, which I can see them doing that easy.
But as you can see from the numbers that you picked up, these high-ranking teams, the number is getting lower and lower of how many points they're scoring. So, I mean, maybe they are moving in the right direction, and we're just not seeing it just yet. But, I mean, based on the numbers and based on, like, what the offense is scoring, I mean, the number is decreasing. So maybe they are, listening to what we're saying inadvertently about getting the defense better. Yeah,
I'm not ready to call them an imposter yet, Slim, but they're getting close. But right now, I'm going to say they're not imposters, but they really need to see exactly something positive happen with that actual defensive on the defensive side of the football. Yeah, that's just my thought on it. Let's move to
the offense clicking. Yes, and then just keep the offense clicking. How that is, don't change anything up there, but the defense.
Let's go ahead and move. Go ahead.
On the offense, because once that pressure get on the offense, their offense even shut down.
Well, once again, once your offense is forced to become one-dimensional, it's not that they're getting shut down. It's just that the defense knows exactly what they need to lock in at.
That's a great comeback. I agree with that.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, we'll move to the next one. Let's go to the Bills here now. Question, and this is for you, Kyle. I asked Slim the first time around. I'm going to ask you: are the Bills imposters? Bills, real quick, they're 5-4 now. They lost this weekend. They lost to the Bengals 24-18. And that's my question for you. Are the Bills imposters?
That's tough to say, but I would have to say the Bills are imposters. Just based on the fact that Josh Allen, I mean, he's Josh Allen, but he's just not playing like Josh Allen, if that makes sense, if that makes any sense. Like, he's not playing like the Josh Allen that we know him to play like. I feel like he seems rattled. He hasn't really come back into the fold of what he's known to be. And we discussed this a few weeks ago. It's just like if Josh Allen starts playing like the old Josh Allen, then, the Bills will be a better team. But it's seeming as though things aren't clicking over there. So I would say that they are imposter, but I don't know. I still hope that Josh Allen figures things out, but I don't know. It's not looking too good for them.
Yeah, Slim, you want to speak on that? What do you think? You think the Bills are imposters? 5-4 right now. They just took an L to the Bengals.
I think the Bills are imposters. I'm tired of the Bills Nation talk. Tired of hoping that the Bills they're going to push through. Josh Allen is a turnover waiting to happen. He's going to force feed the ball to Stephon Diggs. Half their problem too. Not to give them an excuse, they don't have a run game. The run game is totally.
Yeah, any team without a run game, I mean, it's definitely going to crumble.
Yeah,
like you were saying before, if it's one-dimensional, then you're not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you guys on this one. I definitely think the Bills are imposters. Listen, here are some of the Bills' lost. Once again, they're 5-4. Here are the teams that they lost to, though, and this is crazy. I thought this was kind of wild. The Bills have lost to the Jets. Okay. They're 4-4. The Bills have lost to the Jaguars. That's not a bad loss. They're 6-2. The Bills lost to the Bengals this week. They're 5-3. That's not really a bad loss. But the Bills also lost to the Patriots. They're 2-7. Overall, the record of the teams that they've lost to is 17-16. That ain't good. And the Jets and the Patriots, both of those losses, I think, are unacceptable for the expectation that the Bills came into the season with.
Right.
So that's why I think they're imposters. I am not a Josh Allen fan. Slim just said something. We lost him here for a second. Hopefully he jumps back on. But Slim just said something.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. You said, I think you said, I don't know if Kyle said, I think one of you guys just said that Josh Allen is playing like Josh Allen. Yeah, he is playing like Josh Allen. That ain't a good thing. Josh Allen is not as good. Josh Allen is probably the most overrated quarterback, in my opinion, in the National Football League. I am not a fan. I don't see exactly why people are so high on Josh Allen. Like
he can throw the ball 80 yards.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. But, he's throwing it 80 yards, but he's not throwing it effectively, and he's not leading his team to wins. That's just my opinion. So I'm not really big on Josh Allen, but Josh Allen is Josh Allen. What you wanted to finish your thought, Slim, before we lost you?
Oh, yeah, man. They don't have a run game, and, you got to think it's an expectation coming into the season, especially when you don't win as far as they went the previous year.
Yeah.
So you got to understand the teams that's showing up to play against you, they remember that. So you're getting their A game every year. No excuse. forget how you feel today and how you showed up today and what you're going through. You getting these teams a game. So the Bills got to recognize that they're the hunted and not the honey now. So, once they recognize that, maybe they'll get back to it. But as far as right now, I think they're a bunch of imposters.
Do you think Josh Allen is the sole problem of the Bills, or are there other factors that may be playing a part in, as in like maybe the play calling, maybe something else outside of that nature? Because didn't they beef up the offensive line for him over these past 3 years?
I thought so. Yeah, that's what.
So you got that.
Basically the same as last year.
Exactly.
Only difference is Josh Allen is playing totally. He's playing like the guy from Wyoming that nobody ever knew about.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're imposters, but time will tell. I mean, they still have time to come back. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Bills and the Dolphins are in the same division.
Bills,
and if
Dolphins.
I think they're in the same
Patriots?
division. Yeah, but the Patriots, you don't have to worry about the Patriots. But I think the problem, the problem with the actual Dolphins, the problem with the Bills is that the Dolphins, they're in the same division, and the Dolphins are ahead of them. So the Dolphins are gonna, but they have a win against the Dolphins. So I don't know if the Dolphins allow them to be tied in the record toward the end of the season, they could win based off that actual win early in the season. So the Bills still have life. I just don't see it happening. But they need to start making some positive momentum and start moving in the right direction. We'll see if it happens, though. Let's go to the next topic here real quick. Injuries, and more injuries.
Who's hurt now?
Man, Daniel Jones out for the season, ACL. Crazy, man. I mean, just real quick, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this.
I definitely have some thoughts.
We've had some major injuries this year. Kirk Cousins for the Vikings out for the year. Ryan Tannehill, Justin Jeffries, wide receiver for the Vikings. Kenny Pickett from the Steelers. Mike Williams from the Chargers. Trayvon Diggs, Cowboys, ACL out for the year. Nick Chubb, gruesome MCL injury for the Browns out for the year. Aaron Rodgers, everybody knows that. That's one of the most famous injuries that'll probably go down in history. Like, he's out for the Jets. And then, of course, Daniel Jones, he's out with the ACL injury for the season. Now, there's a number of other people that I didn't mention here. Is it just me, or do these injuries seem like they're accelerating at a rapid pace with key players across the actual league?
I think it is accelerating, but I think, we have to look at, these playing fields. Is it the turf that's a problem? Like, what's the issue? Because it seems like every year it's just like there's a multitude of injuries, and it's the same injuries. It's always Achilles. It's always an ACL. It's always an MCL. It's always these things. I mean, yeah, you get those concussions, but these leg injuries are the same things all the time, the same exact injury. So what is the problem? There has to be a common denominator, and the only common denominator that I can think of, which players have complained about, is these AstroTurf fields.
Yeah, what you think, Slim?
I think these organizations got to start doing right by the players.
Okay, in what way?
Financially, ethically, because it's ironic that these injuries happen to, it's not happening to the third string guy. It's just happening to Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley. I just feel like, karma is everything. And I feel like once these organizations start doing right by some of their players, a lot of their stars will stop going down like they are on these fluke injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I actually was looking at the actual numbers as far as guaranteed, salary numbers for some of these players. I mean, Daniel Jones, if I'm not mistaken, his guaranteed salary for this year is like in the mid 40 million range. It does not benefit the actual Giants for them to go down. You know what I think it is, though? When I think about it, I think players are bigger, stronger, and faster. Like the strength and conditioning programs with some of these, teams in some of these leagues right now are way more advanced than they were prior. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Some of these actual players used to, come in like out of shape or whatever and play the game. But now, the strength and conditioning programs have these guys in freak athletic form. I think being able to explode and react the way that these guys are reacting are finally, breaching like a physical capability. Like I think that's why we're starting to see such a large accrual of injuries across the actual league. I just think that this is going to be the new norm because they're only getting.
My question is, and you're totally correct in what you're saying. You got bigger, stronger, faster. That you're totally correct. But why is it happening to these key players? If you notice, it's always a key player.
Well, they're on the field. They're on the field with the ball in their hands and bodies flying at them. Like if a player doesn't have the ball, that means he doesn't have people pursuing him and he doesn't have to react
agree with
as
that.
aggressively. So they may be able to get by without getting those injuries. But key players have the ball in their hand, and you have to react to that oncoming pressure. In my opinion, that's how I would. That's how I would rationalize it.
Usage. It may be these injuries may be correlated to usage.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Absolutely.
Being overused, in a
Absolutely.
sense.
Practices. Because
Especially
people.
with running backs.
Hey, Slim, you remember this? Like the games are the fun part.
Right.
The practices,
are what
you know,
kill you,
the
bro.
practices just wear your body down, and you know you have to get in ice baths. It's the end of it, like, so you know, like when you get to the actual game, when the day of the game comes, you're like, well, this is going to be the easy part compared to how practice was. You know,
I
so
totally agree.
the usage, it's not just the usage that people see on the actual field, and in this day and age where people are full-time athletes, it's not like where people played in the NFL, but then they had a job as a construction worker during the off season. Your entire year is spent, you know, maximizing and pushing your body to the actual limit. We're talking about the games, we're talking about practices, and then we're talking about off-season training and training outside of the actual program that these people are doing with private trainers. I mean, they're really pushing their bodies to the brink, and I think you're getting to a point where we're reaching the limits of what humans really should be doing on a consistent basis. And I don't think they're going to stop. You know, there's too much
definitely not.
money. It's too lucrative. It's too enticing of a career field. So people are going to continue to go in that particular direction, and we're just going to continue to have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's tough. But if I was
agree with
Daniel Jones, man, I would have broke my eyebrow if I was guaranteed $40 million.
Hey, come on, man. It's ironic that he go out there and he blow his knee out on a drop back, man. He just got paid $40 extra million.
Yeah.
on,
Hey,
man.
that's ironic. And then what's even more ironic is that the money that you should have gave Saquon is just an ironic situation. With now I see why y'all losers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, but real quick, you know, we talk about these injuries and taking people off the field. But these injuries also create opportunity for people who may not have had an opportunity otherwise.
Shout out to Tyrod.
Shout out to Tyrod.
Go get your money when it happens.
Yeah, he will
Get
you
your
know,
money
He
when it
has another
happens.
opportunity, and once again, he had.
His injury again.
Say that one more
Fluke
time.
injury. Did we catch his fluke injury again? It was so fluke.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tyrod Taylor. Get well, man. But your injury was totally fluke again.
Yeah, so now we have to see exactly who's going to be coming in now, because now you have Tyrod Taylor. He's with the
Some guy
Giants.
like Vito or some other kid.
Yeah, somebody's going to get an opportunity. But for the Giants, when Kirk Cousins went down, Joshua Dobbs got an opportunity this
for the
weekend. Did
Vikings.
anybody check out what he did with the Vikings?
I did not see. How did he do?
Slim, you got a report on that?
Joshua Jobs is a genius, man. He's player of the week, man. Bar none.
Yeah. He came into the Vikings for Kirk Cousins, who actually had his season ended prematurely with the I can't remember what his injury was. Achilles. Okay, so Kirk Cousins out. Joshua Dobbs led the Vikings to a 31-28 win over the Falcons this weekend. Not huge numbers, but 20 for 30, 158 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. And once again, this all happened with him really not knowing the playbook at all. You know, just off of
You come in, you tell the coach what scheme you want to run.
Mm-hmm.
The coach creates a scheme around that, and you just pound that scheme out
Yeah.
the entire game and just make it work.
And did y'all watch the game?
No, I did not watch
This
the
guy was
game.
on the sideline with the offensive line around him, right?
Yeah.
Calling cadence because they had to hear his voice to hear how it sounds for him to say hike.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
and he
But
won an NFL game, man. He went to Harvard or Yale. He's like a nuclear engineering major.
Smart guy.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a genius. He's
Very
like
smart.
a genius.
He was doing well for I guess that's why the Vikings picked him up. But I mean, he was doing well for the Arizona Cardinals. They just weren't winning games, but he was doing well as a quarterback. Like, he wasn't doing horrible.
No.
But he was doing well. Like, when he first started, yeah, he had his, he has his interceptions, he has his bad games, but I mean, that's just growing pains of coming into the league, but I'm glad he's able to kind of get his footing under him at the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, all these injuries, and Slim, I know you're an avid fantasy football player. All these injuries have to be causing havoc on people's fantasy football rosters.
He got you in that free agent pool, trying to scout and find the next big thing. Like you said, all the injuries is creating the opportunity for the next guy.
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I agree.
And that's what he got me. You're in that free agent pool trying to find that next guy, man.
All right, let's move forward to the next actual segment here. We're going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens, man. Baltimore Ravens beat the Seattle Seahawks huge 37-3 this week. Ravens moved to 7-2. They're tied atop the AFC with the Chiefs at 7-2. What do you, in my opinion, and Slim, correct me if I'm wrong here, but do you think the Ravens are being overlooked right now as far as one of the best teams in the league?
Totally. You know, but that's a good thing for them. You know, let the other teams have the spotlight, but and let them, like, you know, they're like a train. They're just going by their business, man.
Real quick, before we get too deep into the actual Ravens, Geno Smith is taking a huge step back from the success he had last season. Slim, I think you're the first person to bring that to my attention. Against the Ravens, he was 13 of 28, 157 yards, no TDs, 1 interception. I just think those are poor numbers for a starting quarterback in the league. But once again, he was going up against the Ravens. Ravens are known historically of having a huge defense. Right. But Geno Smith, you have to step up if you're going to maintain the level of play that he had last year. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, he was definitely solid last year, and I was definitely watching him a little bit. But it's just sad to see what to see what he's doing out there on the field. I have a good friend who's fans of the Seahawks, and he just says Geno sucks. So, you know, I mean, it's tough for them, but I mean, Geno's their guy. So they, like I say about every team, it's going to be the same thing that I'm always going to say about a team that's doing bad. Figure out what works best for the quarterback and implement that system. That's what you got to do. I mean, it's just that simple. Figure out what works best for the quarterback, what type of quarterback they are. Look at the personnel that you have out there. See what works best for the personnel across with the quarterback. If you have a trash offensive line, then you know you have to go RPO, something of that nature, you know.
Now, Lamar Jackson didn't have a huge game. I mean, Lamar Jackson was 21 of 26, 187 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But the thing about Lamar Jackson is you don't have to do too much when you have solid players around you. Lamar Jackson is in a similar situation to Jalen Hurts. And we'll get more in Jalen Hurts in a minute. But both of them have solid programs and solid teams around them, solid teammates or whatever. So when you have that kind of support system on both sides of the actual ball, all you have to do is be steady. Yeah. Don't make mistakes, just be steady, and the team will continue to get the dub. They may not get the accolades or the recognition because they're not putting up gaudy numbers, but they're going to get that, you know, they get an opportunity to get a championship at the end of the year at the Super Bowl, and that's what's most important.
Yeah, you got to read what the defense is giving you. If the defense is covering the pass, then we're going to the run. If the defense is covering the run, we're going to the pass. If they're doing both, then we're going to do both. You know, it's kind of like a give and take type of thing, you know, push and pull type of thing. You got to see what the defense is giving you and just execute on those things. Yeah.
LSU report real quick. Odell Beckham got his first touchdown as a Raven this week.
About time.
Shout out to Odell for that.
Yeah, we're deep in the actual season. He got his touchdown, but the thing about it is he got it. You know, Odell had a rough go of it in the Super Bowl that's when he was with the Rams. I mean, he came out with a great start to that actual game, scored a touchdown, and then got an injury. He still got his ring, but I would have liked to see him play through that entire game just to see exactly if he could have ran up some big numbers with his opportunity with the Rams. But now he's back with the Ravens, and he found himself in the actual end zone. Horrible showing for anyone who may have picked him up on the fantasy team. Not that he would have been a high pick, but for an LSU supporter, it was good to see him back in the end zone.
You must be talking about me because he's on my fantasy team, and I still one of my picks on OBJ.
How early?
OBJ, if you're listening, come on, man.
How early did you pick him up?
Early. I was like, OBJ's going to have a breakout year with Lamar. And it was crazy. People in the chat, they were laughing at me like, yo, man, you picked OBJ like eighth. I'm like, yo, y'all just don't know. I got a vision for OBJ. Man, OBJ just had his first touchdown in week 9.
Yeah,
that's tough. How do you think his career continues off? Like, do you think
it's injury prone?
Yeah.
It's honest, we must be real with ourselves. As far as athlete, top tier, great player, clutch. LSU dynamic, one of the greatest. He was on that team. You know, Ron, you're an LSU guy.
Yeah.
He comes from that stop.
Yeah.
But, man, OBJ is injury prone.
He's injury prone. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
He's got an NFL championship. The numbers ain't going to get him there.
And he's not even a fringe? You just say no? He don't have a shot?
Not a shot.
All right.
The numbers won't get him there. I mean, Are we going by notoriety or are we going by numbers?
There you
Going
go.
by numbers. Notoriety don't mean that when it comes to the Hall of Fame.
Then no.
He won't get in.
All right, we'll see. Time will tell. Real quickly, before we move to the next actual subject here, because we're getting closer to our time, Baltimore held the Seahawks to 3 points. That's what Miami needs. Miami needs a defense that can actually hold a team down if necessary.
They need
And the
Baltimore's
Ravens are
defense.
being overlooked. I will echo what Slim just said here. They're being overlooked, but they're being overlooked because of the Chiefs.
Definitely.
The Chief just draws so much attention because they
All the
are
time.
defending champions. Baltimore, you haven't won a championship in a while, so that's why the defending champion
But
Chiefs
since
are
Ray Lewis-
pulling in all the attention.
Since Ray Lewis, huh?
I think it's since Ray Lewis, yeah.
This is what the Ravens do, though. Like, they go get, this is what they do.
Yeah, Well, yeah. I look forward to seeing exactly if they can keep it up and then make a push in the playoffs and see exactly how that goes. But right now, they are being overlooked. But they're 7-2. They're tied atop the AFC with the actual Chiefs, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see exactly if they can continue to perform at a high level. And I think people are going to start paying more and more attention as the season, concludes. All right, let's move to the next topic here. How about them Cowboys?
Oh man, it's tough for them.
What's
Go
up,
ahead,
Slim?
How about them Cowboys?
Eagles beat the actual Cowboys 28-23. Jalen Hurts 17-28. Not a really big game as far as touches, but if you look at his overall stat line, 17-23, 207 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. I thought those were solid numbers. As I told you guys earlier this year, Jalen Hurts doesn't have to do much. He just has to be steady. He has enough talent around him where he doesn't have to overplay. What do you think? I know this is your team, Kyle, so I'm going to let you and Slim go back and forth. Slim, give my man time to get his thought out here real quick because I know you want to jump in here, and we are going to talk about your Cowboys, but right now, tell me a little bit about the Eagles right now. The 8-1 Eagles, by the way.
I think the 8-1 Eagles they just had a great showing. I know the Eagles got a lot of slack for, they're playing teams, but they're not playing great teams. They haven't seen the best defenses, but Dallas is one of the best defenses. Jalen Hurts didn't have, like you said, he didn't have the best numbers, didn't have the most passing yards. But, I mean, we got the dub, we got the game, we got the W. So I think Jalen Hurts did a great job. I think the offense, we did what we had to do. The defense definitely did a great job, especially near the end of the game in that fourth quarter with the 2 sacks back-to-back when they were down there on the 11-yard line. I mean, that was a play of the game because I remember watching the end of this game. I mean, that was what did it, being down there in the red zone and being able to hold off Dak after having a great game. When I looked at Dak's numbers, I was like, geez, Dak literally had an exceptional game, but the defense just stood tall.
Hey, can I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
For those who may not have watched the game, I just want to give Dak numbers real quick.
Go ahead.
29-44, 374 yards, 3 touchdowns, no INTs. All right, go back to you, Eagles.
But no, we'll stay on Dak real quick. So Dak had these numbers, but he also had CeeDee Lamb out there who almost got almost 200 receiving yards. He got all the receiving yards, but that didn't amount to much because he didn't score any touchdowns. So I don't know what Dallas is going to do moving forward, but they definitely have a great program over there. Not as good as the Eagles, but I mean, they have something. They have something to build on. They can watch this film and move forward and and look and see how to play football. What do you think, Slim?
Hey, Slim, come on, man. What do you got for you? Speak up for your Cowboys here real quick.
Hats off to the winner. I'm going to be humble, and, I got to take my lumps with my wins, so I'm willing to be humble.
Definitely.
But we got to show up from the beginning, man. We got to show up from the beginning, and we got to play tough from the beginning. Tony Pollard, getting rid of now I see the effect of Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott was our power. He was like our power guy. He would soften them up, and then Tony Pollard could come in and scat by him. With Tony Pollard being our first, second, and third down back, he's not the same guy, man. Maybe it's the injuries coming off too, but Tony Pollard, he has to show up. He didn't show up against the Eagles. Shout out to the Eagles. One thing about the Eagles, they're the best team in the league. And like I said, to beat a team like that, you got to show up from the beginning. The Cowboys didn't show up from the beginning. Dak had a spectacular game, probably the best game of his life, and we lost.
No.
But I'm going to say this. We're going to see y'all December 10th.
Oh, yeah.
Bring that game on down here to Dallas.
Oh, man. And that's the game I always worry about, but hopefully that game doesn't matter so much if our Wecker showed for it.
And see, them that's how I know we're going to get you.
Look. Hopefully it doesn't matter, man. Hopefully by that time, we just coming in there just to finish off the season.
Hey, let me just jump in here. I'm not hard on either side, Pauls, of this actual argument here. But Dak's not the problem in Dallas. I think people need to come to that realization. Dak is not the problem in Dallas. Dak played a hell of a game. I watched that game for the most part, specifically at the end. I thought it was wild. I think Dak got the Cowboys all the way down inside the 10.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden penalties pushed them back. Like, first of all, they got down there with –
crazy how often that happens?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, they got down there with the assistance of, some penalties, some pass interference penalties, made it all the way down there.
Goal line, bro.
Yeah.
And then end up at the 30 or the 40.
Yeah, it was those two sacks by I don't think it was Reddick. Who was it? Was it Sweat? I think it was Sweat. Yeah, I think it was two back-to-back sacks by Sweat that pushed them back. That was the key to that.
Yeah,
because they were definitely about to get in there and score, like without a doubt, if he didn't get those sacks.
Yeah, so I mean, they played a hell of a game. They made it all the way down there. I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat, kind of watching it to see exactly how it play out. And then all of a sudden they start going backwards.
We tried to make it a game at the end. But here again, you see how us not showing up at the beginning. We tried to make it a game at the end.
Yeah, so it was a really good game to watch. And I had a really good time watching it. Hey, real quick, Slim, we're gonna let you go real quick because I do want to open the phone lines up for people who may be watching. We may have a couple people watching that may want to get in on one of the topics that we talked about here. So, Slim, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. I really appreciate you calling in. We'll get you back on next week's show.
Appreciate it, Slim. Have a good one.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Real quick, for those people watching the actual show right now, we are opening the phone lines. If you would like to call into the show and speak on any topic that we've spoken on, now is the time to make the call. 281-942-7433. 281-942-7433. We will keep the phone lines open just for a moment here before concluding the show, but we want to hear from you guys. This is a call-in show, live call-in show. We would love to hear from you guys, love to get your thoughts on any of the sports topics that we talked about so far or any other sports topic. You can call in right now at 281-942-7433. Real quick while we wait to see if anybody calls in. Have you paid attention to anything Wemby's doing?
Wemby is kind of getting active. Wemby is kind of coming into his own. So yeah, shout out to Wemby. I know when he first started the season, he wasn't grabbing a lot of boards, but now it's just like he's actually using his height for good in a sense where he's out there, he's grabbing boards, he's making his presence known on the offense, making his presence known on the defense. So shout out to Wemby for having a good, solid start to the season. He started off slow, but he's kind of coming into his own. So shout out to Wemby for that.
Wemby he's a very unique talent. I'm interested to see exactly how his progression continues. My fear is the length and his frailty. But just like whenever Giannis came into the league, Giannis was frail as well. But over time during the offseason program, Giannis put on some bulk. I don't think Wemby can carry as much bulk as Giannis put on, but he could afford to put on a little bit more weight. And we'll see exactly if he puts that weight on and how that actually plays out with his career.
Yeah, I think he would need to put on weight like a DeAndre Ayton.
Yes,
somewhere around there.
Yes, I think he could carry some more weight, and when he carries that weight, I think it'd make him make it a little bit more difficult to be moved around. He did a play though that was so amazing. The dotted line, the restricted area dotted line. This guy made a dunk where he jumped from behind the dotted line. Now, when I say jump from behind the dotted line, most people would think he jumped and he kind of
straight up.
Yes, he jumped straight up. When he dunked the ball, he was still behind the dotted line. Yeah. Unlike anything you've ever seen in the actual league. Because
what is he? Is he 7? He's
7'4", if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's insane.
He's 7'4", and his wingspan is ridiculous. So he's
if you're 7'4", your wingspan has to be at least 8 something. Yeah, if not more.
He's a unique talent. We'll see exactly how his career progresses. Real quick, for those who may be watching, do us a favor: like, comment, and subscribe to the actual channel. We would love to have your support as we continue to advance this actual project forward and bring you guys good quality sports content. And with that particular note, we're going to go ahead and shut it down. We thank you guys for watching and staying in tune for the program.
Definitely.
We'll see you guys next week.
I hear you talking opinions, but where your facts at? I think it's time that we pull up and do a fact check. Home again, we calling you to the circle. I'm tired of hearing the bull. I'm questioning your discernment, yeah. Like how you question the people that's really earned it, the people that's really working.